Leon Carter wasn't your average man. Beneath his rugged appearance and quiet demeanor was a story of resilience and a fortune that could rival entire corporations. Born in a small town, Leon grew up in poverty, watching his parents struggle to put food on the table. He promised himself two things. He would one day escape the suffocating grip of poverty, and he would never let anyone love him for his wealth alone. By the time he was 30, Leon had built a transportation empire, owning one of the largest taxi service companies in the country. Yet, wealth couldn't fill the void in his heart. Trust, he realized, was harder to earn than money. One evening, while strolling through the city streets, dressed in the modest clothes of a taxi driver, Leon stopped outside a quaint cafe. Inside sat a young woman named Emilia Winters. She had an aura of warmth and authenticity, unlike anyone Leon had ever met. Emilia wasn't drawn to material possessions. Her joy came from simple things: helping others, long walks, and heartfelt conversations. Her laugh was the kind that stayed with you long after it faded, and Leon, for reasons he couldn't explain, was drawn to her. Fate played its hand when Emilia accidentally left her scarf behind at the cafe. Leon picked it up, stepped inside, and handed it back to her. "You dropped this," he said, his voice steady but gentle. She looked up, smiled, and thanked him. It wasn't much, but it was enough to spark a connection. Over the next few weeks, their paths crossed repeatedly, as if the universe itself wanted them to meet. To keep his identity a secret, Leon introduced himself as a taxi driver. He told her he worked long hours, saving to one day own a small home in the suburbs. Emilia didn't flinch at his modest ambitions. In fact, she admired his hard-working nature. "It's rare to meet someone who values honest work," she said one evening, as they shared coffee under a sky full of stars. Leon, for the first time in years, felt at ease, but his heart was a battlefield of emotions. He was falling for Emilia, yet fear crept in. What if she loved him only because she thought he was just a simple man? Could she accept him for who he truly was? Their relationship deepened, and soon Leon faced a dilemma. Emilia's father, Charles Winters, was a man of principle but skeptical of those who seemed too good to be true. One evening he confronted Leon. "You seem like a decent man," Charles said, his eyes narrowing. "But my daughter deserves someone who can offer her a stable life. What can you give her, Leon?" "I may not have much," Leon replied, carefully masking the truth. "But I'll work every day to make her happy." Charles wasn't fully convinced, but decided to let time reveal Leon's true character. Emilia, unaware of her father's doubts, was falling deeply in love. Leon made her feel seen, valued, and cherished in ways she had never known. When he proposed to her one evening in the park, her answer was an unwavering yes. But as their wedding day approached, Leon's secret began to weigh heavily on him. A part of him wanted to confess, to tell her the truth about his identity. Yet another part feared it would change everything between them. He decided to keep his secret for just a little longer, hoping to protect the pure connection they had built. The day after their wedding, things took a sharp turn. Leon received an urgent call from his assistant, informing him of an unexpected crisis in the company. Before Leon could cover his tracks, Emilia overheard fragments of the conversation. Confused, she asked, "What company are they talking about, Leon?" For a moment, Leon froze. He realized the time for secrets had come to an end. He took a deep breath and said, "There's something I need to tell you." Leon's words hung in the air, heavy with tension. Emilia's expression shifted from confusion to apprehension as she searched his face for answers. "What is it, Leon? What are you hiding?" she asked, her voice trembling. He took her hands in his grip firm but gentle. Emilia, I haven't been entirely honest with you, he began. I told you I was a taxi driver, and while that's technically true, it's not the full story. I'm not just a driver, I own the company. For a moment, Emilia said nothing. Her silence was louder than any words could have been. You lied to me, she finally whispered, pulling her hands away. Why? Leon's heart sank. I didn't lie, he said softly. I just didn't tell you everything. I've spent my whole life wondering if people could truly love me for who I am, not for what I have. Meeting you was the first time I felt I could be seen for myself, not my wealth. Emilia stared at him, her eyes welling with tears. So, all this time you were testing me? She asked, her voice filled with hurt. No, Leon said quickly. It wasn't a test. It was fear. Fear of losing something real. I never meant to hurt you.
The room felt colder, the distance between them palpable. Emilia turned away, her thoughts racing. She loved Leon for his kindness, his humility, his unwavering dedication to their relationship. But now, she couldn't help but wonder if their entire connection had been built on a foundation of deception. Just as the tension reached its peak, the doorbell rang. Leon opened it to find Charles Winters standing there, an unreadable expression on his face. I think we need to talk, Charles said, stepping inside without waiting for an invitation. Leon explained everything. His background, his reasons for hiding his identity, and his fear of losing Emilia's trust. Charles listened quietly, his face unreadable until Leon finished. You've made a grave mistake, Charles finally said, his voice stern. But I can see you genuinely care for her. The question is, does she see that? Emilia, who had been listening from the next room, stepped forward. Dad, I can speak for myself, she said firmly. She turned to Leon, her eyes filled with a mixture of love and pain. I need to know one thing. If I had walked away thinking you were just a taxi driver, would you have stopped me? Leon hesitated, but only for a moment. No, he said honestly. Because I loved you too much to trap you in a life you didn't want. But I would have hoped, with everything in me, that you'd choose to stay. Tears spilled down Emilia's cheeks as she stepped closer to him. Leon, I didn't fall in love with a billionaire. I fell in love with the man who worked tirelessly, who made me laugh, who listened when I spoke. You didn't need to hide from me. Leon's heart swelled with relief as he pulled her into an embrace. I'll spend the rest of my life making this up to you, he promised. But their moment of reconciliation was interrupted by another twist. A man stepped into the doorway. It was Daniel, Emilia's ex-fiancé. I warned you he wasn't who he claimed to be, Daniel said smugly, holding up photographs of Leon stepping out of a luxury car and entering a lavish office. Leon stood his ground. Daniel, I'm not ashamed of who I am, but you're here because you couldn't stand that Emilia found happiness without you. Emilia, no longer shaken, turned to Daniel with a steely resolve. You can leave now. I don't need your protection. I know who Leon is and I love him for it. As Daniel stormed off, defeated, Emilia and Leon shared a moment of understanding. Their relationship had been tested, but they had emerged stronger, their bond unbreakable. A few weeks later, at a charity gala hosted by Leon's company, Emilia stood by his side as he addressed the crowd. Love isn't about wealth or status, he said, looking at Emilia with gratitude. It's about finding someone who sees you for who you are and chooses you anyway. The crowd erupted in applause as Emilia squeezed his hand. In that moment, she knew they had something money could never buy. Trust, honesty, and a love that could withstand anything. Their story became one of legend. A reminder that true love sees beyond appearances and embraces the heart.